So our focus today is really going to be around how can we keep manufacturing sustainable. It is quite topical at this time when we talk about our economic and social development goals. And so we'll start by looking at what is happening in the world today. We're recovering, being able to do physical engagements, but at the same time also recovering in terms of the increasing demand for products across the world. And this is actually quite good because we had seen a slump globally. We've also seen our regional markets expanding within the globe and also within the East African region. With the introduction of the Democratic Republic of Congo into the East African community, this is actually a welcome event for us because it then expands the markets that we're able to work with. As we define how we're going to move forward, sustainability will be an important piece around how we look at this. So not just to respond to the crises that we have today, but then how can we ensure that we have a sustainable manufacturing sector and how this feeds into the other economic sectors across the region and in the country. Our commitment is to ensure that we're supporting all the sustainability initiatives led by the environmental and social impact assessments, collaborating with Green Climate Fund to fund flagship projects that will help to drive efficiencies across the different businesses in manufacturing. And we'll continue to then ensure that we provide the necessary financial services, not just by way of debt, but also looking at financial solutions that can help you move forward.
As KCB, we want to think collectively with you on how we can drive economic recovery and reshape our businesses to meet the needs of all our stakeholders, particularly at this time when we are actually in a recovery and resurgence phase of our economy after the COVID surge. Through innovation and resilience, we saw the sector recover, repurposing production lines to join the fight against COVID-19. This agility is the reason we can celebrate the manufacturing sector. This season we are having today is part of the bigger picture within the KCB business agenda. We have prioritized stakeholder engagements as a strong pillar in helping deliver our contribution towards economic growth. We believe in collaboration, especially within the banking industry, as well as across the private sector, in addressing the pressing social challenges we face, among them healthcare, famine, corruption, and unemployment. I believe together we can jointly play a part in the economy, helping to recover from the impact of the pandemic, sustaining business growth, job creation, wealth generation, while complementing the government's efforts in developing social infrastructure. Our commitment as a bank is to work with you as we start exploring this path and identify the opportunities and potential areas of partnership towards a low-carbon economy. Through the KCB Power Talks series, we look forward to more insightful engagements that will build not only your knowledge, but allow you to learn from others who are in similar industries on what they are doing to improve their businesses.
The challenges we have today is we may have to find our solutions ourselves here in the region, and especially in Kenya. When I look at the risks that are facing Europe today, most likely those countries will be in a lot of difficulty. High level of inflations for the first time, 10% plus, double-digit inflation in the US, in the UK, in Europe, in Germany. Those economies which we rely on will be a bigger challenge, especially in this decade, which is good for us as Kenya to think about what solutions we can offer, in addition to the crisis which is now being referred as the Russia-Ukrainian war, which has impact for a lot of manufacturing. But I also must thank all of you, especially those who are in manufacturing. Last year, COVID, a lot of people really succeeded by fighting by yourselves. As we strengthen our investment in manufacturing, not just East Africa, some of us here in Uganda, in Tanzania, Rwanda, Burundi, the DRC, it's a huge opportunity. You need to be in those cities to see how big that country is. I also wanted to say two other aspects. So there's a chance for us to improve on logistics, whether it's through the railways. Today is unfortunate, a lot of our goods into this DRC are coming through Dar es Salaam. There's a lot for us to see how we can use the Kenyan logistics to deliver that to that market. And today we are doing 25% of a very big market area. The capacity for us is to remove the bottlenecks, improve competitiveness, the non-tariff barriers, improve quality, access to the markets. We'll also look at Ethiopia, because that market remains the whole cluster of 8 countries that we are very excited about. Our commitments towards carbon emission reductions, those areas are critical for you even as you improve on the investment that we're going to be able to do. Sam mentioned earlier that we are part of a long-term climate change investment program. We work with the Green Climate Fund, and that's an area we want to continue to invest in as an organization. So we'll work with you closely. And one thing you can assure for us is that we continue to support the challenges you face. And now we can see there are more challenges, and you see it every day in your businesses. Sustainability and inclusion is what would unlock perhaps the next revolution for our businesses to create a win-win scenario, benefiting both the economy, be able to push environment. And I'm actually proud to see a number of the businesses and leaders here today. And therefore, you can count on us. I'm happy that Esther and Sam have organized these sessions for us. And also hear from the panelists. It's learning from each other. It's very collective. In the past, we sat and listened to other markets like China, but you realize that one day you have no supply from China. And so things change. Sometimes building our resilience is important for our markets. And therefore, I look forward for a good conversation this morning. And you can rely on us and believe that KCB will support your views and your business and investments in the years ahead.
Many countries around the world have relied on industrialization to pull themselves out of poverty and really transform their economies. So that's really no surprise why Kenya has also chosen the same path. But when we're dealing with crisis that we're dealing with right now, whether it's the pandemic, whether it is external wars, whether it is decreased access to supplies because of nationalist decisions in countries or even wars, we're now dealing with challenges around food, around grain, partly because of Russia and Ukraine. But I've always, it doesn't mean that we need to grow that grain. Perhaps with science and technology and with support of your banks, you might actually make this food in the lab. In the context of climate change and our commitments to reducing carbon footprint, there is a lot of opportunities as well for manufacturing to step up. When we started the journey towards energy efficiency at the Kenya Association of Manufacturers, unfortunately, a lot of the companies that wanted to make those investments in energy efficiency and changing their production processes and making the investments couldn't find the financing within Kenya. We need a lot of engagement. This green economic recovery that Kenya is banking on as we look at our post-COVID strategies really relies on a lot of partnership between you as manufacturers and your financing partners. But thirdly, I think we want to say this, that we are currently working on our next medium-term plan within government, MTP4. It is our ambition that this plan, certainly for manufacturing, will really embed a lot of our ambitions for innovations, for green recovery, and for partnerships with the private sector. So I hope we can get some inputs from yourself that we can put this into government programs, because as soon as we put them in government programs and make it part of our ambitions as a country, it's an indication of the direction we wish to take. So we really want to encourage you to partner with a lot of our agencies as you make these innovations, so that government policy can also be in tandem and support the work that you are doing. So we are ambitious as government. The reason why we've signed up to a lot of our regional trading arrangements, the reason why we make the commitments that we made in COP26 is an indication of the ambition that the government has to not only just power a green recovery, but be able to do that as a regional leader. We rely on you to take the experience that you have in Kenya to the region and to partner with others, whether it is within East Africa or elsewhere. But at the same time, we also expect you to partner with a lot of our global partners. We are currently negotiating with the United States a free trade agreement, but one of the features of that agreement is the ambition to onshore a lot more investment within Kenya. We're aware of all the changes in global value chains, and a lot of the challenges that an American market, for instance, or American government might have with sourcing from, from their traditional source markets. But we have an opportunity as Kenya and as Africa to be able to onshore a lot of that, manufacturing that is departing from countries in the East. So even as we negotiate this agreement, we would really like to benefit from your insights, from the insights of your partners, if you're partnering with firms from elsewhere, to onshore a lot of this investment. Then we want to make sure that the agreements we reach are supportive of those ambitions, and therefore we continue to keep our doors open. Thank you as manufacturers for the work you continue to do and the resilience that you have shown. It's been very, very impressive. I know the President has applauded that on various occasions, and we want to continue to encourage you to be more innovative and to take advantage of these challenges that are facing us today to expand your business. And my appeal to your banking partner is to also create the instruments that support that sort of ambition on your part. Asante sana.
The profit and purpose don't always go together. Sometimes on the profit side, we are more short-term oriented. We have got quarterly earnings to abide by, but the purpose is more long-term. From a KCB experience, because you're one of the champions of the sustainable agenda in this economy, how is this panning out for you, and what sort of thoughts would you give to those who are facing this challenge?
An enterprise that is doing good for itself, has value to add for society, actually proves itself for the long term. That is really what the value will be, and we're speaking a lot with the United Nations Global Compact, because this is what enterprise is all about. We don't see a conflict, but we are championing that with this team that is here, sustainability, greening their portfolio that we have as two areas, and those for me will be the areas that we like to support. And I'm sure that those that will hold those principles will actually be stronger and succeed in the long term.
Get all the raw material locally, and we invest in that. We must have invested more than $10-15 million just in the research, and that is where we are, and we are able to continue doing this, and this is the way any industry will sustain.
Unfortunately, in the baking sector, we can't be self-sufficient in terms of raw material, the way maybe the DevKey group can in terms of clinker, and because of the fact that in Kenya we only produce 10% of our wheat and 90% is imported. So we are always going to be opened up to global shocks when it comes to the food. That's largely because Kenya is a net importer of very many raw materials. The other day there's an export ban on palm oil, for example, from Indonesia. That's going to impact the price of our cooking oil over here.
Let me come to Phyllis Wakiaga. As an umbrella body, the manufacturing agenda of 2022 by KAM identifies sustainability and resilience as the fifth pillar. What does this mean for the economy, and why is it very critical?
It's important that we build responsible and sustainable businesses. But over and above that, it makes business sense. I think we heard what Joshua said, that for them as KCB, as a business that has adopted responsible and sustainable practices, it has made business sense because it makes business sense to support the environment. So what we've done as an association is, first of all, we host the UN Global Compact, the local network. I chair the network, and a number of businesses are members. So we've created a platform that supports businesses to be able to really drive responsible and sustainable businesses. We started first with energy efficiency, carrying out audits, seeing what measures we could put in place, and then working to look for financing that would help manufacturers invest in more sustainable practices around energy, and worked even to develop credit lines. And I know a lot of that work is what has driven even the banking sector to develop products in this area.
Players in the financial services space like KCB can have more favorable credit terms for companies which are better integrating the sustainability agenda in their business, whether it's manufacturing or any other sector. Any comment on this, Joshua?
So we actually do provide that kind of support for a lot of the industrialists today, but it's at various levels of their enterprises. So in our portfolio, manufacturing is the largest area of our business as a bank, and we see beyond just not themselves as large industrialists, but also, Julian, there is a value chain as well, which we have to deal with every single day, the SMEs, the micro enterprises, because at the end of the day, it's a full ecosystem that you have to be able to work with, whether it's from farmers who are trying to do raw materials today with a lot of difficulties. So it's not just about the competitive finance, but it's also that we provide capacity building, working with global institutions. So the Green Climate Fund is one of them. We speak about the IFC is another we speak about as well. So those are running today.
So my company, especially National Cement Company, is the first company in Africa which uses waste heat recovery. It is a very big capital intensive. We invested about $60 million to put that plant, but we don't have grid power. What we put in the clinker manufacturing, it is coal. And out of coal, most of the heat goes into the chimney, which we recycle and make the turbine run and get our power to run the industry. You need to start the industry, and once it is started, then it runs itself.
Our grid is plus minus 2,500 megawatts, and about 65% of it is from hydro and geothermal. So we don't have a large reliance on petroleum products or fossil fuels. Our cost of production in terms of the power contributes between 9 to 11%.
We all know the goals of net zero and what, as a country, we've committed to. So I think that also did feed into those broader goals for us contributing to the net zero outcomes.
The investment in greening is expensive initially. That's really what happens. It's what you have to do. And many times when that happens for investment, there's always a lot of concerns. And I know that that's an issue that you get challenges from markets all the time. But in the region, Kenya is making those investments. And I would say in the next 10, 20 years, this is future-proofing. You'll find that our industries are much more prepared for any shocks and to take opportunities in the market. So we fund a lot on that area. We intend to move up to 1/4 of our portfolio to be totally green financing for our customers, and manufacturers are the largest.